Somali pirates agreed to release the Egyptian merchant ship Blue Star and its crew of 28 after the company agreed to pay a reported ransom of $3 million. Now, this comes just 2 days after a Ukrainian ship carrying missiles and 33 tanks has been released after paying another $3 million. Now, while the pirates are counting their booty, insurance rates on shipping are soaring. With more on these high-sea terrorists, I'm joined by Doug Burgess. He's author of The Pirates Pact, The Secret Alliances Between History's Most Notorious Buccaneers and Colonial America. And joining me in studio is John Kimball, a partner with the Blank Room Law Firm and a New York University adjunct professor. Good morning, gentlemen. Good to see you guys.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, John, let me walk through this with you. It's the Gulf of Aden, as everybody's talking about here. What exactly has been happening, and why is it getting to these dangerous levels?
Success breeds success. The pirates have been receiving huge ransom payments, and it's not been that difficult for them to capture the vessels. It's been terrible for business, and the solution that owners have come up with to get their ships released is simply to pay ransom, and that's what they've been doing.
And part of the issue, Doug, as I understand it, is these Somali pirates who have just had an unfettered ability to board ships, to take the people hostage, to take goods and equipment. None of the countries who have had their ships either stolen or held as ransom, none of them want to take these Somali pirates into their local prisons or countries to address the issue. Why is that?
Well, to undertake the burden of jurisdiction, it's a huge financial commitment. It's also a very big political commitment. So very few of these states are willing to do so, and in fact, the Somali government doesn't have the means to do so. This is why many people, including myself, have advocated international tribunals or even a species of jurisdiction in international criminal court to deal with these piracy cases.
So if that's the case then, Doug, it appears to me we've heard about the European Union increasing their efforts. Some suggest the UN should increase their efforts. If that's the case, though, that nobody's willing to take them in and to try them, how do we prevent this from happening? Because it appears as though every single day we're hearing about a new, more horrifying story here.
It's true, but if you look at the history and go back even as far back as like the 19th century, you'll see in, for example, what was called the Declaration of Paris, the nations of the world do come together to combat piracy. And the way they do that is to create a separate species of jurisdiction for the pirates. I mean, we lawyers call it hostis humani generi, enemies of the human race. This is a very old concept, but they are willing to come together if there is a court that can be established to try them. And that's why international tribunals are so important, because then no one state has to undertake the entire burden of prosecution. All states share equally.
John, what do they use the money for?
The pirates use the money to pay themselves. They are just criminals, and they share the money in the classic way that pirates always have shared it. They take the booty and they spread it around. But
in some cases, they're not taking the booty. I mean, as I understand it, when this Ukrainian ship was loaded with, as we talked about, 4 tanks and weapons, they could have taken the tanks and weapons, which probably would have been more valuable than the $3 million ransom that they were asking for the ship, and yet they chose to take the ransom for the ship.
Well, if you're a pirate, it's much easier to take the money. That's what you're in the business for. Mm-hmm. Taking tanks would be a difficult task.
And what about insurance, John? I imagine that if you are transporting goods through the Gulf, it's become tremendously more costly.
The cost to ship owners and their insurers has risen tremendously. These payments have to be covered by insurance, and as a result, there's been a kick-up in the costs. And the Suez Canal transits have dropped dramatically, so the revenue to Egypt through the Suez Canal has dropped as a result.
All right, guys, we'll leave it here. John and Doug, thank you, gentlemen, very much. What a story.